I met the love of my life 12 years ago, and I didn't even realize it until recently. Story. 12 years ago I, 39F then 27, met a guy named Andrew, 36M then 24, in my plant ecology class in undergrad. I didn't think much of it until we happened to receive the highest grades of the class on our papers that would lead us to being the only ones allowed to accompany our professor out into the desert on a research trip. That research trip then led to him and I starting the terrestrial ecology lab at our university. We would spend long hours together out in the desert collecting insects and long hours in the lab sorting them. At the time I paid no attention to him because 1. I was in a LTR at the time and 2. I found him incredibly annoying. He was annoying in the fact that he was smarter than me and would come up with these complex theories that I just knew were wrong. However, since he was smarter than me, he could explain away the inconsistencies and I wouldn't know how to respond. We graduated from undergrad and went to grad school at the same university. He dropped out and moved to NYC and I stayed in the program and graduated 2 years later. After graduating, I broke up with my LTR and started my life as a single woman at 31. It was the first time I was single, and I was going to do whatever I wanted whenever I wanted. I did just that. Andrew was up in New York, and we remained in touch through Instagram. He seemed like he was doing well. I went to work in the private sector on renewable energy projects in the same town we went to school in. Andrew became a HS science teacher at a magnet school up in NYC. Time slipped on by, and then COVID hit. Andrew and I started chatting more, at first casually and then every day. We found that we liked a lot of the same things, had similar styles of humor, and were still driven by our curiosities that we had in school. We sent each other little packages to brighten each other's moods during a dark time in both of our lives. When restrictions were lifted, he came to visit, and we both thought something might happen, but it ultimately didn't. We were both too awkward to make a move. A few months after he returned to NYC, he sent me a lengthy text telling me about all his feelings for me. I thought it was sweet but impractical, mainly because we lived thousands of miles away from each other, and neither of us had the means to make it work, nor were we going to move to where the other person was. The years continued on passing by, and we didn't talk as much as we once did during the pandemic, but we would still text occasionally and send the random meme to one another. We both dated other people, but still had a special place in each other's hearts. Fast forward to a month ago, he came to visit his family that lives just outside of town. We had planned to hang out for an evening, riding bikes and goofing around. During the group ride we were on, I asked him and another friend if they wanted to peel off and get some pizza instead. And it was while we were eating pizza that I realized he still felt the same way he did years before, as I caught him looking at me while my friend was talking with a look of admiration. I retuned the stare, and we sat for a moment, just looking into each other's eyes. I didn't feel awkward as I would have if it was another person. I was looking at an old friend and I felt safe in that moment. We were supposed to hit up a swimming spot after my friend left us to do some errands, but I forgot my lock. I asked him if he would like to go smoke DMT and have a drink instead. He enthusiastically said yes, and we rode back to my place. We grabbed some drinks and sat on my porch, just shooting the shit. Once we were done, we went up to my bedroom to blast into outer space, as I have a large painting above my bed that I like to look at when I blast off. While we laid next to each other, both in our own worlds, I reached out for his hand and he responded to holding mine. One thing led to another, and we fooled around. It was passionate and raw. He felt so strong and I melted into his arms. The next morning, what was supposed to be one night of hangs turned into another. The next day, thoughts started to roll into my mind. Should I date my good friend long distance? It was all I could think about. I came to realize he was everything I've been searching for all these years, since the beginning of my dating experience at 19. Once again, we were sitting on my porch having a drink, and I asked him if he ever thought about moving out of NYC, and he responded he has. To which I responded with, well, I'm thinking about the feasibility of us dating. That's the most mature way I've ever been asked out, he quickly retorted. The timing of all this is different than when he told me his feelings 4 years ago. We both have the means to make it work, and we both want to move to the PNW to be near the real outdoors. Another day turned into 2 more, and soon he was back on the jet plane to New York. We had decided to take it slow, but a pregnancy scare turned everything into hyperdrive, and we started talking children and life plans. Now we are planning for a baby and a move in a year. It's crazy that this is all happening BC. I never thought it would. Andrew asked me if I thought about children before all of this happened. I told him no BC, I thought the train left the station with the idea of children on board. We both then confided in each other that we only want children if it's with each other. I am excited to say Andrew is now my boyfriend. I am going to visit him this week. I know it's only been a few weeks of actual dating, but I know he's my person. As we laid next to each other on my bed looking at my grandmother's painting above my bed, I looked over at him while he still was on journey to the beyond and tears started to roll down my face. These were tears of joy. BC, I knew right then he is the man I am going to marry. Remember which ones are your favorite? He remarked as he talked about taking me to the Gems and Mineral Museum. For an engagement ring? I mean, they are gems and minerals. In response, I sent him a picture of me when I used to model vintage wedding dresses with the remark, something to dream on. He responded with, I have now saved it as my phone background and moved all the apps out of the way so that you won't be obstructed. I love this man so much and it feels wonderful. Never did I think that annoying kid from 12 years ago would be living rent-free in my heart today. He's my soulmate. We are just two nerds in love, and I couldn't ask for a better way to end my 30s.